Lovely. So, kia ora koutou, bonjour, welcome. Just give me a big virtual high five right now. If you can see me, hear me, thumbs up, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me for this online session. So the first thing I'd love to do is just welcome you and say thank you, because right now more than ever we need some human connection. And this is a really wonderful, safe way to do it, but also we can create great connection in this space. So I've used Zoom for a long time, many years actually. And I use it a lot for online group coaching and also virtual presenting. So I thought I'd do a bit of a combination today. So welcome to Joe and Rhonda that are just joining us. I am just putting everyone on mute at the moment, so if there's background noise where you are, you should be fine. Now, if you're new to Zoom, let me just show you around. So at the very top corner of your screen, if you hover your mouse around, move your mouse around, up the top you'll see you click between speaker view and gallery view. And when you're on speaker view, whoever's speaking will be big on screen and everyone else will be tiled across the top. But if you'd like to see everyone, you can click back to gallery view, where you'll see everybody and you can all give a wave. And if you've just joined and you've not yet shared your video, I'd love you to do that. So down the bottom left hand side there's a mute. So I just muted myself just then. There's also a stop video, start video. So you can click that and share your video, and that's really nice. Great to see you, Isabel. Wonderful. So thank you for that. It's just much nicer for me to have some smiling faces to speak to as well. Hi, Rhonda. Lovely. The other thing that's great is the chat box. So can I invite you to hover down the center, you'll see a little chat box there. And when you click that, it'll open a pane to the side. And if you want to say where you're from, so just say good morning, good afternoon actually, and where you're from. And that'll be nice just to way for people to connect in and also make sure that the chat is working. So this is a really useful tool if you are having to work by distance to connect with your colleagues. You can have one-on-one meetings using this tool absolutely free for an unlimited period of time. You can also have group meetings using this tool for groups of up to 100 people and for up to 40 minutes, totally free. And then if you want to get the paid version, the next level up is just $15 a month. So I'm sure that you'll find for many of you it'll be really worthwhile if you're having group meetings to use a tool like this. The wonderful thing is that you can also record, and you can also do things like screen sharing. So for example, if I come back in, if I say to share my screen, I can just share, and then I can actually share whatever is displayed on my screen. So I could show you around different information. I could show you a presentation if I wanted to. I could show you spreadsheets and Word documents, anything at all. And then I'm just going to stop that share right now. So you can share the screen, then you can stop sharing. So it's got that functionality, and you can also record and then upload as a private video or a public video. So special welcome to everyone that's just joining us. Welcome to Marie, to Jason. Don't know if I can mute you guys, but that's okay. So let's see who we've got today. So huge welcome to Rhonda from the Waikato, Megan from Oregon, USA, Corinna from Wellington, Zelda from Northland, Waipu, awesome, Andrew from Mangawai, kia ora koutou from Kaitaia in the far north. Yeah, nice to see you, Lisa. Rebecca from Balclutha, Andrew from Dunedin, great to have you here. Joe, welcome from Auckland. Tanya from Palmerston North. Oh, good evening to Andrian from East London, the UK. Oh, really nice to be connected around the world. I'll just pop a mute on there for you, Jason. Jessica and Ashurst, Isabel, who's Vanderkolk, I just know that that's Isabel, Ag Research, Palmerston North, CEW45, oh, it's Catherine from Christchurch, Sarah from Palmerston North, another Sarah from Martinborough, Susie from Ellerslie, Lisa from Far North, and Lisa, another Lisa from Minnesota. So really nice to connect. So can I just invite you, let's all just do a little virtual hug. Virtual hug to those around you. This is something you can do in person as well now. This is what we do, apparently 2 meters away. So a little virtual hug to you all. And I just want to say a huge thank you for being here. I don't really know how many people would turn up today, so it's really heartwarming to have you all here with me. And the last 2 days I've been thinking, what can I do? How can I share something that's useful? So I hope that out of all the list of things that I have to share with you today, that there's at least one thing you'll take away that will help you right now and be able to help those around you, your family, your children, your colleagues, your team. Corinna's still giving us a virtual hug. I love it. Thank you. Nice. So anytime that you want to ask a question, you can put a question in the chat box, or you can just give me a wave if your video is on, and I will be able to unmute you. Lovely. Oh, I just see that it's you, Tanya. Fantastic. Tanya from Hammersmith. I should have known that. Excellent. So we've talked a bit about Zoom. That's great. Let's check these off because they're probably reflecting for you. So I want to just today, as I said, talk about boosting your immunity and helping you reduce stress and anxiety. And if you don't already know me, I'm Lauren Parsons. I'm a wellbeing specialist. I'm based just out of Palmerston North, Ashurst, New Zealand. And my vision is to equip and inspire you to truly boost your health and happiness for life. So I really love working with individuals, and I especially love working with businesses, helping to create a culture that supports their team to thrive, because we know that when individuals thrive, that flows on to help their whole team. So I'm not going to go into a big long biography, but you can feel free to check out my website. It's laurenparsonswellbeing.com if you want to find out more about me. And I've had 20 years experience in health and wellbeing, and I'm really passionate about seeing you boost your health and happiness for life and help the others around you. So I wanted to focus in on how we can help to boost and bolster our immune system and how we can manage stress and anxiety, because with all of the uncertainty, and especially as it's rapidly ramped up, certainly here in New Zealand over the last 5 days, it is really unsettling. And that is because as human beings, the number one thing that we love is continuity, is routines, is consistency. Our brain scans for it all the time. We look for patterns and we feel safe and secure when we see similar patterns repeating in our lives. We also like a bit of variety and a bit of inconsistency, but it's one of our basic human needs. So in this period where lots of routines are being thrown out of kilter, that's actually one of the strategies that you can use right now. And that is to keep up with as many of your daily routines as you can. And for those of you that have children, one of the most powerful ways that you can help them is to keep up with as many of the daily routines that you can that support your children. As well as that, to give them a sense of control. And so this can be helping to give them a small sense of control, simple things like saying, great, do you want to wash your hands with the blue towel or the green towel? What do you think we should have for dinner? Should we have this or should we have that? And it's a particularly good strategy to give options, particularly if you don't have everything on hand for dinner, to make it simple, but also it helps the human brain to be able to make a simple decision and feel really good about it. So that's one really simple strategy for you. But actually, before I dive into too many more strategies, I'm just going to make sure everyone's on mute. If you have got any background noise, just feel mute. Anita, I think it is. There we go. I think everyone's good now. Lovely. Before we get into lots of strategies, which I do have a whole list here for you, the first thing I wanted to say is the reason that I'm talking both about immunity and stress is that they are really interrelated. So today, when I talk about boosting your immune system, I'm not going to be talking about supplements or additives or potions or lotions or any of those things, which one can be quite controversial and two, some can be in difficult demand. I will talk about nutrition and getting a wide base of those things that you need from your food a little bit later on. But actually, one of the key ways that we can bolster our immune system is by reducing that stress and getting that anxiety under control. Because we know that when our body is in that fight or flight mode, it's all part of that autonomic nervous system that controls so many functions in our body that we don't even have to think about. And that autonomic nervous system, it's got two arms. It has the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system is your stressed fight, flight, or freeze response. And that's what we can sometimes default into in times of pressure or uncertainty. The great thing is, though, that your body has this amazing ability to shift back to your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest, restore, digest. And that just takes a little bit of intention sometimes. So virtually all of the techniques and tools that I'll be sharing today are about helping you to get out of fight or flight mode and restore that calm physiologically and emotionally, so that as a result it will help you bolster your immune system. Because when you're in fight or flight, what your body does is it sends lots of blood supply to your skeletal muscles so that you can fight for your life or run away. But when it does that, it also down-regulates things like your digestive system and things like your immune system. So literally, when you're in a stressful situation and you're feeling stressed about it, you are inhibiting your immune system. And I don't say that to make you feel more stressed, because I have some good news in a moment. However, it's really important to realize that and to understand how important it is for you to manage it so that you can get back into that parasympathetic nervous system. Is that okay? Fantastic. So first, some good news really, and that is that you can make stress your friend. I will endeavour to send out some links as well after this, so I'll be sending those through as well. Lovely. And if you have private questions, that's great. If you want to put them in the chat as well, I'll try to come to those, but I find that it's quite distracting trying to read and talk, so I'll probably come back to questions towards the end if that's okay as well. So you can make stress your friend, and there's a fantastic TED talk by a woman called Kelly McGonigal, and I'll just type her name in here in case you would like to take note of this. So it's how to make stress your friend. So this is a fantastic TED talk. I recommend you Google it once we finish here. And she shares examples of how studies have shown that even if you experience high levels of stress, it's not necessarily bad for you, only if you believe it is. What they did is they took 30,000 people and they asked them whether they'd experienced low levels of stress, medium levels of stress, or high levels of stress over the previous year. They also asked whether people believed that stress was harmful for them. And then they looked at the death records and they figured out who died and when. So the bad news was that if you had high levels of stress, you were 43% more likely to die earlier. However, that was only true for those people who had high levels of stress and who had said that yes, they believed stress was bad for them. The people that had the highest level of stress, yet they believed that stress was okay, and they did not believe stress was harmful for them, they actually lived the longest of anyone in the study. So I share that with you very briefly. I know there's a lot to unpack there, but I share that with you briefly just as a reminder that even though we are all facing physical, emotional, physiological stress right now due to the uncertainty, that's a natural thing. And at the same time, that's okay. Your body is designed to deal with stress. If you start to think about that stress response as your heart rate speeding up, gearing up to be able to perform, as your breathing rate increasing so that you're getting more oxygen supplying to your brain, not only will you feel better about the stress emotionally, but studies also show that physiologically you won't have the same cardiac response. They looked at people who were put under a very stressful social stress test, having to speak in front of a group of people, do public speaking about all of their worst faults and character defects, and the whole audience was designed and trained to give them negative body language like this. To roll their eyes, to look totally blank. So it's a very stress-inducing state. And what they found with these people is that those that they talked to beforehand and talked about this idea that stress is gearing you up to deal with and perform at your best under the pressure. And the other group, they talked to people about the fact that stress is bad for you, it's harmful, it's going to kill you, you're going to die. They performed very differently, one in their results, but two, physiologically, they had a different cardiac profile. You see, when you're stressed, typically your arteries are like this, nice and open, but when you're stressed, they tend to constrict and tighten, which is not great for your health. What they found with the people that had been primed to know that stress is good for you, that it helps you perform, it helps you to make great decisions, to act quickly, to perform at your best. Hang on a second, I've just got background noise.
No.
Great. Come back to me. So what they found is that the people that have been primed to know that stress is actually really great for you, it helps you perform at your best, their actual cardiac profile, physiology of their bodies, they didn't constrict their blood vessels, they actually remained large and open. So even though their heart rate was increasing, their hearts were beating faster, they still had open blood vessels, which is much more similar to a cardiac profile when you experience moments of joy and moments of courage. And I think we need a lot of joy and courage coming up right now. So I've got a whole list of things here, but I don't want to rattle through them too quickly. I want to give you some of the understanding, the science behind this. And now I want to dive into some practical things you can do. But just know, first of all, that stress is your friend. Yeah? Fantastic. The next thing is, as I mentioned previously briefly, maintaining your routines. Your brain loves certainty. So wherever possible, think about what daily routines you have. If you've got a pen and paper, just jot down what are some of your favorite daily routines and what can you keep up with. One of my keys is that as soon as I wake in the morning, my alarm goes off, I have it across the other side of the room. So it makes me get out of bed at the same time, turn my alarm off, I put on uplifting music, I do a stretching routine, I focus on deep diaphragmatic breathing, I think about something I'm grateful for, and I set a positive intention. Now I'm nervous now that some of you might be furiously trying to write all this down, so I'll say that again. So I wake in the morning, I put on an uplifting song. So just for 4 minutes, I listen to some uplifting music. And during that time, these are the other habits that I stack on top of this. This is called habit stacking. What I do is I focus on deep diaphragmatic breathing. I focus on something I'm grateful for. I do my movement routine. So I'm doing these all at the same time. The music's playing, doing my movement routine, focusing on diaphragmatic breathing, thinking of something I'm grateful for, and I set a positive intention of how I want the day to be. So setting an intention is something like saying, today I want to be calm, today I want to be energized, I want to be upbeat, I want to be fun, I want to be adventurous, I want to be centered, whatever it is that you would choose as your word for how you want to show up today. And it may depend on what you've got on for the day, if that makes sense. So that's just one example of one of my routines that I stick to, and it takes me 4 minutes so I can easily stick to it. If you've got a longer morning routine, fantastic. Maybe see how you can also concertina it so that if you need to shorten it down, that you can. And you'll have lots of other routines throughout the rest of your day, and your brain and your body, they really love that. If you have children, help them to stick to their routines and give them choices. If you have staff or team members around you, help them to stick to their routines. Even if it looks different, say they're all working remotely from home, perhaps you're going to connect on Zoom and still have your Monday Energizer meeting, still have your check-ins, still do whatever it is that you can to replicate your routines with your work team. And give your staff that feeling of control by also giving them choices as well. That's really key. The next thing is around mindset, and this is hugely powerful because even more important than your physical well-being, everything really stems from your mental well-being right now. So one of the keys in terms of building a resilient mindset, which is what we all need, that ability to adapt and change and bounce back, a key to having a resilient mindset is to focus on what you can control. I'm going to type these in here for you, some of these key ones. Focus on what you can control. If you imagine kind of one of those Venn diagrams, recently I was at the Corporate Health and Wellness Summit in Auckland. It was actually a group of 200 people, and this was before the government's latest advice around gatherings of no more than 100. But I was really privileged and pleased to be able to be there and present and listen to the other speakers. And one of the speakers was Dr. Lucy Home, who showed one of the slides was a Venn diagram with a circle of what's important to me, and what I can control. And this little part in the middle where those two things intersect, things that are really important and the things you can control, that is what you want to be focusing on right now. Especially when there are so many things out of your control, and sometimes when you hear other people talking about things, it can escalate a feeling of uncertainty and lack of control. But if you can focus in on what you can control, it will exponentially improve how you feel and help you to feel calm and centered. Feel free to make any comments. Oh, you can't see what I'm typing. So we've got some comments. So if you haven't already, in the very center, either if you're on a device, you may need to hover your finger or move your mouse around. Down the very bottom, there's a chat with a little speech bubble. So if you haven't already opened the chat, it should open as a little window to the side. And if it doesn't, then I'm afraid I'm not sure of other ideas around that. Maybe someone else can put a comment in the chat if there's another way that you've found to access it. Oh, someone says they can see what other people type, but just not what I type. Oh, that's sad. So maybe someone else can type in for me. Focus on what you can control. Oh, I know why people can't see it. Here we go. This should come back now. At the very start, someone sent me a private message and I replied to them. And so now I've just been messaging that one person with everything I've typed. So now you can see it. Okay, thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Okay, so now we're good with the chat. Lovely. As I'm talking as well, feel free to keep asking little questions if they relate to what I'm saying, or you can unmute yourself and just interrupt me if there's something that's not clear. So focus on what you can control and that intersection of what's important, what can you control, and that will help you feel so much more centered. And if you notice yourself focusing on lots of things you can't control, perhaps take a pen and paper and write down things I can control. Okay, and that's things like your attitude, your response, what you do right now in this moment, how you respond to others, what you eat, how you move, time you spend outside. If we've got someone else just join us. Just a little bit of background noise. I'm trying to hunt the person down. No, you might have muted yourself. Fantastic. Okay, so is that all right? So focus on what you can control. Then also monitor what feeds your thoughts. Monitor what feeds your thoughts. Monitor what you're choosing to feed your thoughts on. If you're spending a lot of time on social media, on news sites, if you're constantly listening to the news multiple times through the day, and let's face it, it's quite repetitive at the moment. In these situations, they always are. I actually haven't been listening to it a lot. My source of my source of information is going to the Ministry of Health website, who have excellent information, daily updates, daily press releases. So, for example, we can go there and get the facts. Facts like the fact that there are 28 cases in New Zealand, only one person is hospitalised, the others are resting at home. Facts like the fact that we've not had any notification of person-to-person communication of COVID-19 within New Zealand, that all of the cases have been people coming from overseas. Now, we're likely to see that at some point. We're probably likely to see some mortality in New Zealand as well at some point. So those are good things to prepare ourselves for, but it is very much that saying of prepare for the worst but hope for the best. Expect the worst but hope for the best, and come back to focus on what you can control. Focus on what it is that you're feeding yourself with. If you find that you are spending a lot of time consuming lots of information and that you realise, perhaps right in the second, that this is really not helpful for you, I invite you to think about what else you can do. And so that leads on to the next one, which is to think, is this helpful or is this harmful for me? And so this is again from Dr. Lucy Hone, who spoke at the weekend, who's a resiliency expert. Is this helpful or is this harmful? Oh, I'm messaging you privately again, Lisa. Sorry. Lisa's sharing it with the group. Okay, I need to get my default back onto everyone. So is this helpful or is this harmful? Thank you so much. So think about, in the moment, is it helpful, is it harmful? What you're thinking about, what you're doing. And I'll give you some more strategies to help you switch out of that. And then the next one is to avoid thinking traps. Now, thinking traps are things like catastrophizing. Things like, for example, for me, the majority of my income comes from being a public speaker. I speak at events. Guess what's going on for me right now? There are a great number of events that are either being cancelled, that are being postponed, that have a lot of uncertainty. I had my whole calendar planned out. I was really thrilled. I just had a meeting with my business coach last week. It was like, yes, we're on target. And now it's all just gone back to being to be confirmed, to be confirmed, to be confirmed. So that obviously creates a whole lot of uncertainty. But there are also a whole lot of things that I can control. I don't need to catastrophize to start going, oh my goodness, I'm not going to make payments. I'm not going to pay my team. I could be starting to think like that. I could be starting to think, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to contribute to my family income. We've just bought this new house. We're going to lose our house. This is going to cause major stress. What's it going to do to my relationships? I could just keep going and going very far. And that is what's called catastrophizing. Taking one fact and then thinking about a possible consequence and jumping and leaping onto future consequences which aren't necessarily going to happen at all. And in fact, none of that is very likely at all, because there's lots of things that I will do now to pivot. And one of them will be doing online training and coaching. So rather than catastrophizing, an antidote to that is to replace that fear with love. replace the fear with love, and to think about what you are grateful for at any one given moment. So for me, I am so grateful that a friend of mine introduced me to this tool many years ago, that I've now had many years of experience using it, even though I'm still not perfect on the chat, and that this is a viable way for me to be able to help people. Even this morning, I just started another one of my Overcome the Overwhelm group coaching programs with 8 amazing people, and we're going to be catching up fortnightly doing that ongoing coaching. And I just hope that that's something I'll be able to do for more businesses. So for those of you that are perhaps either self-employed or in your current role, you're in an industry that is facing a lot of uncertainty right now, I invite you to sit back, make a list of all the things you're grateful for, and think about what can you do right now, what can you control as we move forward. Is that okay? Any questions, any comments about that? Is this helpful so far? Give me a little yes in the chat box if any of this is really helpful for you right now so far. Yes, yes indeed. Yes, Fab. Okay, great. I'm going to keep going, but yeah, it's great to know if this is helpful for you. Now, there are a whole lot more different thinking traps out there, things like black or white thinking. You can Google it because, again, we don't have time to cover everything in the session. But that is one of the keys to unraveling anxiety. Often we get caught up with unhelpful thinking. So it's being able to notice it, observe it, and then take action. And that is really key. Now, I mentioned briefly this idea of switching out of the fight or flight response and back into that rest, restore, and digest response. And so it's really key to know that your body is actually designed to deal with stress. Your amazing body, it really is. You just need to be able to oscillate. So some of the best tennis players in the world, they're not the ones that necessarily have the greatest fitness or the most speed or the most agility. That all helps. But some of the greatest tennis players in the world, they are the ones that are able to oscillate the most and recover the quickest in between each set, in between each match. So tennis players will have, for example, techniques to be able to perhaps touch the strings on their racket, perhaps the way they bounce the ball, the way they roll their shoulders. And what they do is very quickly be able to oscillate and regulate, for example, their heart rate to slow it down, their blood pressure to lower it, their breathing rate to slow down. And when they do that physiologically, that allows them then to perform at a higher ability when they go back out for their next match. And so if you use that analogy for your everyday life, there will be things in your day that heighten your stress levels at moments, and there'll be things in your day that you can do at any moment to lower them. So let's say if you're snoozing the alarm, you're sleeping in, you're rushing around to get kids to school, you're rushing to get them out the door, you've got this concern as you drop them off to school, seeing all the other kids thinking, oh, are they going to wash their hands? You get into work, there's uncertainty there. Maybe you're working from home now, you're isolated and you're alone, and let's face it, that is a stressor, because being isolated is harmful to us as a social species. So all these different things can go on through your day, and if your stress levels just continue to rise and you're not oscillating and bringing them back down again, you will feel like you're on high alert all day. And this is what we want to avoid right now. So one of the most effective fundamental ways to engage your body's natural relaxation response is through shifting the way that you breathe. So I invite you right now just to become aware of the way that you breathe. Just put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, and just think about the way that you're breathing right now, and don't even change anything. Just become aware of it. Just wherever you are, just invite you to sit with your feet flat on the floor, get comfortable, have your back against the chair that you're sitting on if you're seated, or you can be standing for this exercise as well. Just put one hand on your chest, one on your belly, and see how you're breathing. It's really interesting because breath is something that's so fundamental to life, and it's part of our autonomic nervous system. That nervous system that controls the speed that our hair grows, the speed that our skin repairs, that our nails grow. But our breath is that one part of that autonomic nervous system that you can actually influence and control. So you can change the way that you breathe. And when you do that, you actually influence your entire physiology to actually switch over to that PNS, that parasympathetic rest and digest side. So I invite you now just to place both hands on your belly, and the goal is to imagine that your belly is like a big balloon, I invite you to breathe in and balloon that belly out as you breathe in through your nose. And then slowly breathe out through your mouth so you can just hear it and relax the belly in. When you're ready, take a deep breath in, balloon the belly out. Relax your chest and shoulders. And when you're ready, as you breathe out, relax the belly back in. Now, hopefully you're doing a much better job than I am because I'm talking, so I'm pausing. If you do need to head off at any point, do know that we are recording the session. I can guarantee that's happening, so I will share this later on and I will send it out to you. So thank you for being here if you do need to head away. So just continue with that belly breathing. Breathing in through your nose, ballooning the belly, allowing your diaphragm to come right down. Breathing out through your mouth. Now, my husband is in the military, as you may know. Many years ago, he went to Afghanistan, his first time on a trip overseas, and so the first time for me as a partner experiencing that. And so the Defence Force got all of the partners and families together in a huge room, seated in a big circle, and we got to spend 45 minutes with the Defence Force's top psychologists. They spent about 5 minutes doing an introduction, and then they spent 40 minutes with us doing breathing exercises, different types of breathing exercises. And it was so powerful and so on point. So this is not something to take lightly, to think, oh, this is just a little bit fluffy. This really is, if you do nothing else, but you can learn to practice breathing diaphragmatically, will literally transform how you feel in an instant. So if you can just pause throughout the day and perhaps take 5 deep breaths from time to time, that is hugely powerful. Another way that you can breathe, and this is also a way to make this more palatable perhaps for your colleagues, perhaps for those that are like, I don't care about my breathing, is to know that the SAS are elite special forces in the army. They actually use this just before they go into any extreme situation. And what they do is they call it tactical breathing. So I invite you to join me and deploy some tactical breathing right now. And the way that I've done that privately again because I was talking to someone else. Keep just wanting to chat to you all one-on-one. Here we go. Tactical breathing. And the way that they do that is they call it box breathing as well, which is where if you imagine a box, you breathe in for 4 counts. You pause for 4 counts with your belly full. You breathe out for 4 counts. And then you pause for 4 counts with your belly full. Let's do that again. So breathe in for 4 counts. Sorry, with your belly empty, I should say. Try to multitask. Pause for 4. Breathe out for 4. Pause for 4. Just invite you to continue with that. And this is something that another amazing speaker, Paul Todd, shared with us. He's a psychologist who has an amazing backstory about overcoming adversity. And he shared this technique with us. Something that he learned in person with special forces. So I invite you just to continue that, either that slow diaphragmatic breathing, just flowing in and out, or you can use that box method if you find that that's more suited for you. Breathing in for 4, pause, breathing out for 4, pause for 4. So there we go. Just invite you to type in one word right now into the chat box, how you're feeling now compared to 2 to 3 minutes ago before we started doing that. I've actually just noticed a shift myself. So I invite you just to type in a word, how you're feeling. And with these breathing exercises, it's really powerful to have a trigger to remind you to use them throughout the day. So we've got Jessica's feeling calm, Lisa's centered, Catherine's peaceful, Corinna's peaceful, Catherine's more calm, Rhonda's in control, Andrew's clear, Rich is chilled. I like it, Rich. Hi, nice to see you joining us. Ella's interested. Hi. Okay. Just invite you to check in how your breathing is now. I've stopped actively leading you through it, but I invite you just to see if you can continue with that diaphragmatic breathing that you know is so powerful. And as I say, this is the #1 technique that top psychologists gave us to deal with stressful situations when loved ones were deploying overseas for 8 months. So right now is a great time to deploy that as well. Another great speaker, I'm going to reference lots of things that I've just picked up this week. Another great speaker was Sir Graham Henry, and I had the privilege to meet him in the morning. Didn't get to shake his hand. First thing I did say was, "It's a privilege to meet you. Are you shaking hands?" He said, "No." But anyhow, I got to sit with him, got to chat with him, watch him speak, and then follow him on stage. No pressure, Lauren, but that was a real huge privilege. And one thing he talked about was how they worked so much on their mental fitness, their mental toughness, their mental resilience as a team. And that's what helped them bounce back from their 2007 World Cup loss, where I was in France at the time, and I remember that so vividly, to their 2011 win. And one of their keys was they trained the team to be able to switch from red brain thinking, which is that reactive, panic, fight or flight, to blue brain thinking, which is being calm and centered. And each of them would have a different trigger, something that they would do. It might be that they'd roll their shoulders, could be the way that they just maybe jump on the spot, maybe they'd tap or slap their thigh a few times. A little trigger that's quite common is you can squeeze the space between your thumb and your index finger. Just squeeze that in and remind yourself, whatever it is that you want, perhaps I am calm. Take a deep breath and breathe it out. And so they had what is called an anchoring technique or a trigger to help instantly restore them back to that space. And that's something that does take a little more than just me mentioning it here to really cement. It's something I often do one-on-one with clients or with groups as well. But I just based on time, I won't go through that whole trigger or anchoring technique today. But just know that perhaps if you're familiar with that you can pull that out of your toolkit as well. The other way that you can, again, oscillate out of fight or flight and into that rest, restore, digest is by focusing on being present in the moment. Being mindful, in other words. Now, you can do this in lots of different ways. You can practice mindfulness meditation, but you can also, even just with your eyes open, and while you go about your day, include mindfulness practices. So I wanted to share a little bit around that. Let's do one right now. Just invite you wherever you are to become aware of how you feel physically in your body right now. Just check, do a little audit from top to toe, from top of your head out to your fingertips, down your back, down your legs, right to your toes. How are you feeling? Feel the weight of your body sitting in the chair if you're seated. Feel the texture of your clothes against your skin. Just notice how you feel physically right now. It's one way to bring yourself back to being super present. Take a deep breath in and just keeping your eyes open, just invite you to start to look around the space that you're in, the room that you're in, if you're indoors. Start to notice all of the different geometric shapes that you can see. The circles, the squares, the ovals, the diamonds, the rectangles. Start to notice all the different colours that you can see around you. Just pay attention to them, notice them. Above you, below, behind, all around you. Start to pay attention to the sounds that you can hear in the room that you're in. And pay attention to the sounds that you can hear outside of the room that you're in. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just invite you to think of one thing that you are grateful for right now in this moment. And maybe there's a whole lot that will start coming to mind, and that's okay too. If you'd like to go ahead and type in one thing that you're grateful for or something that you are grateful for in the chat box, I would be grateful to you for that. Go ahead and type in one thing that you're grateful for. And again, just think how you're feeling right now. Perhaps you've gone to an even deeper level of calm, feeling really centered. Lisa, I know, said that she's calm. She had to go. Thanks, Lisa, and feel well. Jessica's thankful for a good desk setup to work from home. Catherine's thankful for her family. Andrew's thankful for his wife. Ruth is thankful for good health. Al is thankful for life. Rhonda is thankful for her fruit trees, dripping with fruit, preserve. Oh, sounds amazing. Karina is thankful for being in New Zealand. Oh, I'm, thankful for so many very similar things. Family, life, every day to be alive, 2 arms, 2 legs, people that love me. There's always something to be grateful for. And I was going to mention that later, but I'll kick into that now, because gratitude is one of the number one ways, again, to be able to shift your mindset, to overcome fear with love, because you cannot be focusing on 2 different things at the same time. So if you're starting to notice that you're focusing on the negative and on things that are feeling concerning for you, get out a piece of paper or get out your phone, message a friend, message me, message anyone, shout it out, go outside and just speak out loud, speak out some things that you're grateful for. You could do that right now if you want as well. If you're in a shared office, if you happen to still be, then inspire your colleagues to do that with you perhaps. But if there's any way that you can start to actively, intentionally shift your thoughts towards what you're grateful for, it is going to instantly boost your well-being. So I invite you to do that. So thank you for those that have shared that. It's 70 degrees today in Meriden. That's like 20 degrees centigrade. That's perfect. That's lovely, Terry. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing those things you're grateful for. The next thing I want to talk about is another huge one, and that is sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. And honestly, I could actually do a 90-minute presentation on how to boost your sleep, but in about 2 minutes, I'll just give you some of the very most important keys. Number one is to really recognize how important and vital sleep is for you. And I'm going to type a name in right now for you. I invite you to check out Matthew Walker's TED Talk, which is Sleep is Your Superpower. Not superposer, Lauren, superpower. Let me type that better. So Matthew Walker's Sleep is Your Superpower. He actually starts, he opens by talking about testicles, talking about how men that get 5 or fewer hours sleep a night have smaller testicles than men that get 7 or more hours sleep a night, and that their testosterone levels are that of the age of someone who is 10 years their senior. So having a lack of sleep can age you by 10 years, age you by a decade, and it's true for women just as it is for men. If you want to be convinced of why you need sleep, then I highly recommend you check out his talk. It is entertaining, it's really engaging, and he's a fabulous presenter. He shares lots and lots of reasons of why you should have more sleep, and then he shares 2 key tips. And his 2 tips are, one is to do with sleep hygiene, and that is one part of it, which is to have a cool bedroom. So about 18 to 19 degrees, which is I think around 66 in Fahrenheit, if I'm not wrong. So you need to have a cool room to be able to get to sleep, which is why in summer we often find it's harder to get to sleep, because your body temperature needs to drop by about 1 to 1.5 degrees centigrade to allow you to actually get into sleep mode. So that's really, really vital. And there's a whole lot of other sleep hygiene things like having blackout curtains, making sure your room's totally dark, removing technology from your head so you don't have anything near your head that's emitting, any devices that are emitting anything, so you can switch them on airplane mode or plug them in across the room or remove them from the bedroom altogether. Making sure that it's comfortable, that it's interruption free. This will be controversial, but if possible, not having pets or children in the room. And again, I know that's controversial, so over to you on that, but there are a lot of studies that show that you will have a much more deep and restorative sleep, for example, if you have a completely dark room, than if you have even small amounts of light. Okay, sleep studies have been done. Fantastic. But someone's asking a private question, I'll come back to that. So sleep, what you do during the day really sets up your sleep. So a couple of tips there to make sure you get sunlight into the retina of your eye first thing in the morning when you wake up. Sunglasses off, outdoors if possible, or close to a window. Throw open the curtain, stand there for a moment, and just for a minute, just focus on the day ahead. Again, think of gratitude or positive intention, get sunlight into your eyes. What that will do is break down the melatonin and boost serotonin, which is your happiness hormone. So one, it's going to boost your mental health immediately, but 2, it's going to help increase melatonin when you need to get to sleep at night, and that is your sleep hormone. The other time to get sunlight into your eyes is at midday. So between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. So if you're in New Zealand, straight after this, get outdoors, get some sunlight into your eyes, go for a walk for 10 minutes, get your sunglasses off. If you could just add that into your daily routine, it's going to help improve your sleep. It's also going to help boost that melatonin, boost vitamin D, improve your mood. If If you walk around and lift your gaze, look at the sky, it's going to lift you up as well. So lots of positives to be gained from that. And that's what I'm going to say about sleep. There's so much more I could really say, but I just want to try and keep these really practical for you. That leads me into talking about movement. Getting out for that walk, that's fantastic. You can get out and walk with a friend, walk on your own, add movement into your day, even in short bursts. If you know me, you probably know that in 2018, I did my TED talk on the concept of snack on exercise. So I'll send you the link, or you can go to that. I can send it right now, snackonexercise.com. If you head to snackonexercise.com, you'll find my TED talk. If you head to Facebook/Snack on Exercise, you can go there right now immediately and click on the videos tab, and you'll find dozens of little videos that have got 1 and 2 minute movement ideas. And they've just been very kindly donated by lots of fitness professionals from all around the world. I'm so thankful, because the whole concept is about breaking down the barriers, overcoming that big time barrier. If you feel like you can't go to the gym or even set aside time at home to go somewhere, get changed, to work out, just fit it in while the kettle is boiling. Do some push-ups on your kitchen counter. While you're reading your emails, why not hold a squat? Or every time before you pick up your phone, do some jump squats, or whatever it is that's going to be working for you. Please don't take this as me prescribing jump squats for everybody. Do what you know works for you and your body. Ease into it. But short bursts will not only boost your health, but also boost your mood instantly, and you make you more creative, smarter, better at problem solving. So really beneficial for your work as well. The other type of movement I'd recommend is some sort of restorative movement. So gentle walking, some sort of stretching, strengthening style modalities such as Pilates, Tai Chi, yoga. Those styles of movement are really, really beneficial as well. A little bit of background noise. I think it's okay. Everyone okay so far? Okay, I've got a couple more things I want to share, and then I'm going to come on to your questions. The next one may be really obvious, and a lot of people are already talking about it, but upping your veggie intake, upping your fruits and vegetables, particularly your vegetables, making sure you're getting whole, real foods into your diet. You probably, if you already know me, you'll know that I have my book, Real Food, Less Fuss. If you haven't got a copy, they're available online. I can just post one out to you. I'd love to do that. What is in there are lots of easy recipes that you can use to fill your freezer with a library of meals that are there ready. What I recommend to make it really simple is whenever you take the time to cook, quadruple batch cook. Cook 4 meals at a time, and I get 2 big pots going. And then you only have to cook 2 nights a week, and you can have every other night off cooking. If you can add extra vegetables and lots of colour and variety to your meals, then you'll be doing really well in terms of getting in lots of vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and fibre. And if you can also add some raw foods as well as some cooked foods, I really recommend having a salad entree as a starter before you have your main. And in the book, I also have what I call my sensational salad blueprint, how to throw together a salad in seconds, and how to combine really great flavours, and also how to do delicious dressings, which will help you absorb the nutrients. So you may know that you need to have fats to be able to absorb the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. So for example, that lovely vinaigrette dressing on your salad is really instrumental to you getting all the goodness out of that salad. So again, I could speak for hours or probably days on nutrition, but I just want to touch on that and remind you that even if some sort of supplement you're thinking of getting is sold out, you can get a huge amount through whole, real food, and it is one of the best ways to get it. So recommend lots of real food, plan ahead, and focus on that. Another really simple thing is your posture. So just invite you to join me for a moment. If you're able to, lift both arms in a big V above your head, open out, or have some expansive posture. Again, another great TED talk is Amy Cuddy. I've just typed her name in there, Amy Cuddy, C-U-D-D-Y. She has a fantastic TED talk that talks about how you hold your body, your posture, and the way that you move and hold your physiology, what an impact that has on your psychology and how you show up, how you feel. So you can instantly boost your mood by lifting your gaze, rolling your shoulders back, and lifting both arms in the air. This is actually the international symbol for success. You know, no matter what language you speak, if something's funny, you laugh. If something's makes you happy, you smile. And no matter what language you speak, if your team just kicks the winning goal in the match, then you do this, yeah? even congenitally blind people that have never seen anyone else do it. This is just the human position for joy and elation. And the more that you can move yourself into joy, the more that you can combating fear and stress and anxiety. So, and if that doesn't feel comfortable for your shoulders, or if that's tiring, you can also just put your hands on your hips, stand with your feet planted widely in what's known as the Wonder Woman position, and that helps you. Oh, did I do that privately again? Sorry, I'm not doing very well with this Zoom demonstration, am I? But yes, it's Amy Cuddy to everybody. So this position, or any expansive positions where you're taking up your space, it upregulates your confidence, your presence, your authenticity in the moment. And she's got a great book called Presence as well, which talks about how beneficial that is in stressful situations like job interviews or first dates or anything else that causes you stress in life. So I give you that as well. And then my final tip that's on my list here that I wanted to share is laughter. Finding moments and times and ways to add laughter into your day and into your life. So whether it's looking up some fantastic Michael McIntyre, I'm talking to everyone again, so I'm here. McIntyre, I think it's spelled like this. McIntyre, something like that. It's got a Y in it anyhow. He's a fantastic British comedian. Give me a yes if you already know and love Michael McIntyre. You might have other favourite comedians. Yes, Catherine loves them. Great. Just look up, Google sellotape and scissors, or people without children have no idea. Michael McIntyre, there's some of those great ones. And also just going and pulling funny faces in the mirror. I know that may sound ridiculous, but hey, extreme situations call for extreme measures. So find ways that you can literally uplift yourself. Just give me a huge smile right now, wherever you are, whether your screen is on or not. Just give me the biggest smile that you can. It's so good to have this connection. We all need human connection, and we have these things called mirror neurons that whenever you see someone else smile, it makes you want to smile back. Even when you can't, it's like it's uncontrollable, you want to smile back. So I encourage you to go out and also spread this positivity, share any of these tips, and smile at people as often as you can, as many people as you can at the moment, because we all need that. Lovely. Now I've just talked for about 50 minutes straight, so I'm going to bring it back to group view and invite you to either, if you want to type any questions into the chat, or just give me a wave or unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question. I'm going to try and scroll up and see some questions that were already here. So Catherine said, hey beautiful human, I'm struggling to get my senior colleagues who are very busy with incident management, so I can't see them in person much and can't easily get them to take these practices up. I'm doing okay myself, but I really don't know how best to support them. Any tips? Yeah, fantastic. I think if you can, you know the people better than you know me, and you know the tips that I've just shared with you. What I will do, by the way, is put this into a blog post. Oh, I can't speak now. A blog post, an article, put it on my website and embed this video so you can send them here. However, people are busy and they may not take a whole hour. They could then at least look at the tips. What I would do is pick the ones that you find are really working for you and invite them to join you with them. You could also get them on board by sharing how if they can do it, it's going to help you as well. For example, this is something I recommend to businesses anyhow. What if you could start every team meeting with 5 deep diaphragmatic breaths? What if you could start every team meeting with an uplifting energizer or a game? I've got lots of non-contact games that I play when I do workshops to get people engaged. Some of you are there at my workshop on the weekend, so you know. Or I shouldn't say weekend, on Monday, Tuesday. So I would, really assess, think about the person you're speaking to, put yourself in their shoes, what's most going to appeal to them. I've shared a little bit of the science behind some of these things, but again, I would be here all day if I shared it all. But trying to reinforce the fact that we need to oscillate out of stress in order to bolster our immune system, and that you need to prioritise your mental well-being. I don't know, is that helpful, Catherine? Feel free to let me know if that helps. But those are some of my tips, not knowing your team members and those people, and or send them to me. And one thing that I am, as I said, I'm really conscious that I'm having to pivot in my business. So again, hugely grateful to any of you if you would like me to come and do something for your workplace. I'm happy to do that, and as you can see, it can be really accessible and beneficial online like this. So really happy to come in and deliver these tips. And I can be a bit more organised when I do that as well for a workplace, and I'll do it with slides. This, I just wanted to be a bit more of an informal chat today. Now, I noticed there was another question. I'm just scrolling through to find it. Someone was saying they're having to, that one's done. I answered that one. Oh, I'll tell you the lady's name that did the TED Talk. So Kelly McGonigal did the talk, How to Make Stress Your Friend. Amy Cuddy did the TED Talk about posture. I think those are the two that I mentioned. Right, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom because there's 3 new messages. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Oh, Miranda Hart. Someone suggested Miranda Hart is a great comedian as well. Jessica's asked if she can share this with others at work. Absolutely. As I said, I will be making this available on my website. I know this is not the most polished version of this session. However, it's just genuine and real. And as I said, I wanted to make this interactive. So I'll type in Kelly McGonigal. So she was the one that did the stress TED Talk. If you just Google stress TED Talk, it'll probably come up. She's wearing a blue jacket and red jeans. Kelly McGonigal. Someone has also just shared a link, which Alice shared a link. Thank you so much. It's a YouTube link about Soul for Happy by Mo Gaudat in 2017. I haven't heard of that, so I'll have a look at that later on. I'll click it right now so that I do have it come up for me later on, and I shall watch that. Thank you for sharing that. Soul for Happy. All right, and he's got some cheats there, some ideas. So any other questions? Oh, Catherine said, thank you, Lauren. It's tricky, but yes, hugely grateful for doing this today. Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much, Catherine. Now, I realise I said we'd try and do this in under an hour. We've got around 3 minutes left, so I'm sure there are some other questions out there. So either just click unmute, you can unmute yourself, or give me a wave, or feel free to type in a question. And while you do that, I'm just going to recap for you. So we talked about how you can make stress your friend, how it's not stress that is harmful, but the perception that stress is harmful. That is harmful. Okay, so remember that stress can be great. Just picture that as your body's gearing up, as you feel, put your heart rate increase, that is okay. At the same time, we don't want to stay in that fight or flight mode all the time. So we want to oscillate out of it. So it's really key we can do that. One of the number one ways is breathing. Another way is being present, being mindful, using mindfulness practices. Sleep is so fundamental right now. So using all of those techniques to help you to get to sleep and have deep restorative sleep. And I know I haven't even touched on what you do when you wake, but I really will. I have to do another session around that for you. Up your veggie intake, get lots of nutrients down from lots of whole real food. Add movement into your day, positive movement, snack on exercise, find ways to move. Be mindful of your posture, find ways to open up rather than close up your posture. Shortening down through here is going to restrict your breathing, and what you want to do is allow that deep diaphragmatic breathing and open up strong postures. Add in laughter to your day and focus on the things that you're grateful for. And those mindset tips were, again, focus on what you can control. Monitor what you feed your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this helpful or is this harmful? And if it's not helpful for you, switch it off and do something different. And avoid catastrophizing, those other thinking traps that keep you stuck. Thank you for all the thanks that are coming up in the chat. Really appreciate that. I know I may just have overloaded you with tons of information, but my goal is that there is something in there for everyone. That I know some of you will know some of these things already, and some of them will be new. So pick and choose from the smorgasbord of ideas I've given you. And most of all, just remember that one thing is certain, and that is that we will get through this. We really will. There is so much uncertainty, but when we come back to the facts, there is so much to be grateful for. There are so many opportunities to provide support to other people, to buy local, support other people in what they're doing, to come up with new ideas. We're all doing a much better job at our contingency planning and our businesses. And the great thing is that challenges, they do actually strengthen us and bolster our resilience. Just like a physical workout, you overload your muscles, and then as you rest and recover, they get stronger. When we have challenges in terms of our mental fitness, they stretch us, we grow, and then we actually do come back stronger. So this, just as all the other crises that we have faced as a nation before, will strengthen us, will bring out the best in us, and we're just going to focus on that. So go out, share compassion, share love. Remember that love overrules fear, and you've got this, we've got this, we will get through. That's my little hashtag I've been putting on everything. Hashtag, we will get through, we really will. So I'm just going to unmute you all so we can at least say farewell, because I know it's been a bit one-sided, but invite you, again, to share your video if you're happy to, just for our little farewell. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you. Let's just do a digital high five around the screen, wherever you are. Thank you so much for taking the time to connect. I know this has been an hour out of your precious time, so I really appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much. As I say, I will share this later on, make this available. Feel free to share this with your loved ones. Make sure you keep up with those routines. Keep reminding yourself all the things that you can do, and focus. Sorry, now I need to mute you all because it's a bit noisy. Focus on the things that you can do right now, and go out, take great care of you, and let's stay in touch. If there's anything else I can help with, just feel free to get in touch with me. Go out, go well, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Lots of love to you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Take care.
Bye.